What's up, everybody? This is your girl Erica from the Classy Climb blog. I am doing this late night because I was watching Kevin Samuel's show, and not that I'm going to make fun, but I got to. When I heard the story of the young lady talking, she was 26, she had a particular tone to her voice. I knew her life story. Why? Because I'm a person who lived in 10 different military towns. Lived in Alaska, lived in Maryland, Alabama, North Carolina, Tennessee, Texas. I've traveled internationally since I was 11 years old, not just little short trips, not just carnival cruises, but other countries, Belize, Panama, Germany, overseas, right? And there's stories that you'll hear a million times. On top of that, I've had a lot of different various jobs, worked in apartment management where you meet a lot of people moving back and forth. Also, I've done over 6,000 paid phone consultations. So when I tell you just from the girl's voice and what she had to say, I've heard her story before. She is young, she's pretty, being pretty is always gotten her by. She had adopted parents, so she's probably mixed in a state where, a lot of these stories lined up, and immediately people are attacking me in the comments saying, why are you hating on mixed people? Why are you hating on this woman? And I said, listen, honey, I've heard this story before. I've heard it a million times. I knew the dude who picked her up and married her at 20 years old was military. I knew her being divorced by 26, she was military, and he probably was a cop by now. And I was absolutely right. Now, here's the thing. Majority of times, you hear a story a million times and you know how it's going to end, but it depends on what that person decides to do. But people are creatures of habit and live very repetitive lives. The reason I said what I said and I meant what I said is I've heard her story before. I've grew up with kids like her. Majority of my friends as an adult right now are half Asian or married to Asian men, which is rare. I know it's rare, but it's not that rare in a military town. It's not that rare among tech and military friends. That's the norm. That's the norm. Mixed kids are the norm. Okay? If you grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, you probably grew up around a lot of mixed people. So I know what I'm talking about. When I heard her voice, I knew her story before she even finished it. And the sad part is the reason she will most likely, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Most likely where she's at now, another military man will go, man, I'll take this pretty girl and I'll fix her and I'll take her son with me and we'll go on down the road to the next military base. And she'll do it all over again. Is she smart? Maybe she'll go back to her husband, which is her ex-husband now, and try to work it out. Now, why am I showing you these graphs? I'm going to show you a couple graphs because I'm not just going to talk about her, but there's a lot of Americans that aren't going to make it because we've heard their story before, but they don't know they're not going to make it because they haven't done the math, okay? So here's this article. You can go look this up for yourself. Do military couples divorce more often? This is a really good test-taking site. It talks about some groups fare very poorly, struggling to deal with stress, isolation, long periods of separation. We've heard plenty of stories of the Jody stories. Out of all, the Air Force, which people covet as being the smartest branch, Air Force divorces rate are the highest among all military personnel, is 64% higher in 2011 than it was 10 years ago. About 30% of marriages ended in divorce in 2011. Okay, I'm not just going to tell you something. I'm going to bring you facts. I'm going to bring you data. I'm going to show you what it's talking about. According to one Air Force chaplain at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, let's see what he says here. The biggest issue is simply their personal life and emotional changes. People are so upset. The person they met before they got in the military and before deployment is not the same person who came back. Hence struggles, okay? All right, so next one. Americans in this field have the highest rate of divorce. High stress jobs can spell disaster for marriage. Now, why am I saying this? If this woman was married to a high six-figure, multiple, probably more than six-figure, honestly, hedge fund manager, hedge fund guy growing up in the company, a salesman that's on fire, because salespeople have high divorces too, then the high money might cover some of the issues. But the thing when it comes to military, unfortunately, sometimes it's the low income that makes it worse. Okay. And the fact that when they want to switch to a different career outside the military, their lifestyle is not the same. Their equivalent of living, benefits, all that is not the same. Again, it's going to show you right here: military, enlisted, tactical operations, and air weapons. In fact, military jobs took 3 of the top spots for highest divorce. Again, logistics, automotive, service technicians. Okay, let's see who else was on this list here. Let's see if it'll pull up the whole list. No, but you guys can check it out on your own. Gray, divorcees tend to be less financially secure than married and widowed adults, particularly among women. Living alone at older ages can be detrimental to one's financial comfort. Trust me, I've seen a lot of older military ladies. They divorced the first guy, go remarry another veteran. Go remarry another dude. All right. Now, why am I bringing this up? Here's the kicker. The average American doesn't have enough money to retire. Now, this is 2019, March 2019. This is before Rona. So listen, this is not a new story. They just have a new person to blame it on. Just like that young lady, oh, my husband cheated, had a whole kid outside my marriage. I've seen people stay in those marriages and keep on going down the road. She probably thought, hey, I'm gonna divorce this guy and get an even better guy. Not always true. So again, it says you want to stop working at 65. You're in good health and your family tends to live a long life. You expect to reach 90 years old and have been retired for 25 years. Will Social Security be enough? No, of course not. And that's what people are counting on something that is barely paying people now. Again, it's saying your average benefit at 65 would be $2,757. When you're 70 years old, it jumps to $3,770. I don't know about you, but I know the average cost of living for people is past that. Now, you may say, well, Erica, 76% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck on $3,000 or less a month, 30 grand a year. Maybe they can retire. They'll be doing less, driving less. No. What happens when you're older? More medical bills, more medical issues. So again, it talks about Social Security, the average benefit being $1,400. I don't know about you, but folks can't live on that. So again, it talks about how people won't be able to, they haven't been really saving and their 401ks are lacking. Okay, let's go to another one here. All right. Can I still afford to retire? The coronavirus has upended jobs, spurred a market downturn. Now what? Listen, a lot of people who were just kind of keep on pushing. And I remember this one time I was working a job in college, and I remember asking this lady, when was she going to retire? Because she was 68, talking about her grandkids all the time. And this was a nice little white lady who had gotten divorced in her 50s. And she said, well, when they carry me out of here. At the time, I didn't understand what she meant. And then I realized what she meant is when she dies, that's the only way. That she had to work until she died. And that right there, my friends, scared the crap out of me, even in college, the thought of that. Okay, so you go down here and it talks about the stock market, which a lot of people, all they had was Social Security, and the stock market was their plan. And the stock market is doing all kind of crazy things. What will happen? What will happen? Okay. Retirement was never meant to be a one-legged stool. Social Security wasn't meant to hold you. People had pensions. They had other things. Again, most people were supposed to go into retirement with a paid-off house, paid-off car, and even then, it was going to be tight. Okay. It talks about asset allocation in here. It's good stuff. I mean, read it for yourself. Don't let me tell you. Low information investors rule the stock market, at least until they lose every cent. So right now they're making fun of people who are low information investors. Now let me be very clear. If you're somebody who bought like a course and the only thing you're studying is one or two things, like, let's be really honest, you can go on YouTube right now and follow several people. I won't be throwing no shade on anybody. And their technique is technical. They follow one or two, maybe at most 5 stocks, and it moves $1 a day, and they just keep trading within it. That's it. Or they're options traders, which is very volatile, but you can make money if you're trained and you know what you're looking for. And with a market like this, option traders make a ton of money. Again, they're talking about Robinhood and day trading news. I mean, they're talking a lot of smack, but again, people are making money. Here's how the corona may change your plans at 65. Most of these people didn't have a good plan to begin with. Yes, the corona is exposing people, but it just gives them someone to blame, right? I have friends who are saying, "Oh, my parents have been struggling ever since the last Great Depression and this and this and that." I go see their parents. Their parents got Cadillac Escalades, vacations, suits, cars. If they were struggling, you wouldn't know it from the outside. They're choosing to struggle because they don't want to take a cut. And either you can take a cut now for 4 or 5 years and invest your money in some other things, or you can take a cut later when you're older and now your kids got to pick up the slack. Okay, so again, will you be forced to retire early because of COVID? Again, will you? Some of these people may not come back to office. I know right now one of my insurance agents is saying that he hasn't been allowed back to office because he's 62, and they're saying they're so concerned for him, and they let the young people back in the office. What does that tell you? It's just going to be a very bumpy ride here. All right. So CNBC, here's the number why seniors work well into retirement, because they broke. No one wants to be out here working. On average, still working seniors have $133,000 saved for retirement. How long will $133,000 last you? Let's say you live on $30,000 of it. Maybe 6 years, maybe 5 years. What if you don't have any emergencies, take no vacations, scrimp and coupon cut? It's be very hard. If you're still working into your 60s, odds are you're doing so to bolster your finances. 6 out of 10 people polled said they're working into retirement for financial reasons. Now, I know some people who are retired and work because they need something to do. They're bored, and that happens often. But money does help. Let's be very clear. Let's go to the next one. Now, what's the alternative? What's the alternative? You're like, Erica, give me some solutions. Usually your channel provides solutions. You kind of got me down a negative here, talking about old girl with her bad choices, starting to show off. Well, here's the thing. The Smartphone Millionaire book, the reason I wrote it, and I still stand by it, is you're going to need a table of options to retire. Okay? You ain't got to believe me. Look, Fundrise is right here. You can start with $500. It's a REIT, and I know some people are going to complain, but what about this? Listen, quarterly cash flow, and this is something you're going to have to learn. This JG Wentworth, bring me my money right now. Every month I want to pay that don't work in the real world. A lot of partnerships and small things, you're getting a check every quarter. Okay? People are upset with Grant Cardone. He already done funded 3 more funds. Okay? So again, here you go. There's that. Next, I picked a couple just so people can see, because some people are going to say, well, Erica, landlords, tenants didn't pay. Okay, well, then diversify in some other stuff. Here's some other stuff. High yield alternative investments in Texas. Why? Because we're still kicking butt here in Texas. Okay? Go look this up for yourself. Don't put it on me. Again, this isn't Austin, but go ahead and review. Study people. Okay, next one. Jamestown Invest, same thing. Consider commercial portfolio. Again, minimum investment $2,500. Again, you're going to have to mix up what's in your portfolio, and a great book for that is Alternative Investment. Here's Fund That Flip. I know y'all love flipping. Everybody wants to be flipping properties and getting a bunch of cash. Nobody wants to hold anything long term, which is dangerous. But here it is. $5,000 increments. You get your 8%. Again, look, people still flipping. Here's another one. Austin Investment Real Estate. Spy Gas Realty. Okay. Last one. Diversifund. Okay. So I'm just trying to give you some options, because what's going to happen is people are going to say, well, this is bad and this is bad and that is bad. Listen, you're going to have to make some choices somewhere, baby. You know, you know, you don't want to do real estate because your tenants might not pay. You don't want to do stocks because they might not pay. You don't want to do, listen, honey, you got to find somewhere to get your returns. It can't be all cash. It can't be all just a business. And if it is a business, what kind of business? Is it a service business? Is it a business that will always need people to do something? That should be your focus. But I understand. But again, if your retirement is in your hands, when you're ready to go sit down, let's say you want to sit down in 5 years, we got to figure out how to get you to that 5-year sit down. But I've heard that story a million times, and so have many other people. If you've gone out of this country or you've traveled, you've heard enough stories to know how some stories end if they don't rein it in and make a decision. So this is your girl Erica, Classy Climb Blog. I hope this was useful for you. I hope you get to see some of these websites. You guys have a good night.